racing, look what we got in the shop. So finally, we got the Ford F-350 coming in here. We are going to yard the motor out and everything, and we're going to be replacing the 460 with a built new 460, and then we're going to replace the C6 automatic with the ZF-5, where we're going to have to change steering column, clutch pedal assembly, and all that stuff, and then we're going to actually have to drill the firewall. We got the only truck made of this body style that's not pre-drilled for it with a cover on it. I don't know why that is. I don't know what makes that happen. And then we're going to do a FiTech fuel injection swap on this thing. It is a factory carbureted truck, so it's already carbureted now, but we are going to do a FiTech fuel injection with pump in tank on this truck. So it should be a pretty good series. We have that 460 is going to be about 400 horse, I'm guessing, at the crank. By the time it goes through all the million U-joints and the 2 carrier bearings and stuff, we might have about 60, 70 horsepower left by the time it gets to the rear end. We did delete the chrome though, so maybe it will be close to the 60 horsepower mark. But it's good because this is about 16 horsepower right now. It was 17 until I deleted the chrome. Now it's 16, and it barely gets out of its own weight. It doesn't take too much explanation to explain what we're doing now. We're just going to use a vacuum and extract coolant, and we're going to drain all the fluids and everything and get this thing out of there. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove the distributor gear off of our old distributor, the gear. And then I'm going to take the cap off, take the rotor off. We're just going to actually use the distributor as an oil pump primer before we drop our distributor in, because obviously then it covers up the way we can prime our engine. It has been primed before, but it's been a while, and we've already kind of had it apart and stuff, so I'd like to prime it again. So that's what we're going to do. We'll prime it again. And it hasn't been primed with that oil pump that's in it and stuff, so really, I guess I would just go ahead and consider it not primed. Okay, in case you were curious what I was doing with the hole saw in the time lapse, I just did that, how I made the clearance. The paint's actually still wet. I didn't want the hose rubbing on it. So normally on this truck with this bracket, it has a 90-degree hose, or a metal tube hard line that comes around, and it feeds the heater hose way back here. But I didn't need it. So I had already cut the top of this bracket off, as you saw earlier, and then so that I didn't have to use something like that, because they're starting to rust. You can't really buy them anymore, and eventually it's just going to be pitted all the way through. So I didn't want to run that one if I could avoid it. So I cut the top of this bracket off, thinking that would work, and it didn't. So I just added a little clearance there. So easy enough. I hope that was as fun for you to watch as it was for me to watch, because that was 4 days of work, believe it or not. That took a long time, but I did a lot of modifications there just to make the thing a little more serviceable and stuff later. I'm trying to set this thing up to be a nice, reliable rig that we can use for quite a while. So I tried to do everything the best I could. So if you were watching that and wanted more information on 5-speed swap, I originally was going to do more information on the 5-speed swap, but it turns out that it's literally just unbolting one thing and putting the other thing in. Other than you saw me have to modify the floor pan, and that's a floor pan of any 4x4 or diesel. Will have that floor cover. And then obviously manual two-wheel drives would have that cover with a hole in it. I think I would prefer to get, if it's going to be of old, like an 87 with a 4-speed, I would probably opt for an automatic one if you could rather get it, because I don't think the 4-speed shifter hole's in the right spot. I think it's too far forward, but I'm not positive. It could still work. But it appears there was one in the wrecking yard when I went and grabbed that one, and it looked like it was too far forward. That's why I think I'll get one and drill a hole in myself. So anyway, so there's that. So yes, the 5-speed swap, I didn't do a lot of information, but it's because it's not a lot of information needed. It's literally, if you unbolt one, you bolt in the other. You need a drive line. You'll need the pedal assembly. You don't necessarily need the steering column, but it would be nice. And then you need all the clutch stuff, but which you can buy new, which I did. I bought it all new. I didn't even want the stuff from the donor truck. And then you'll have to either slide your cross member back or modify it like I did. I didn't have the option of sliding it back because the bed, the wrecker bed, has a big reinforcement part that comes under the frame, and I didn't want to have to deal with it going around it and stuff. I would have ended up modifying the cross member anyway, so I may as well just modify it in the way I did that you saw in the video. So anyway, so coming up, Phytech install on that thing. That's going to be a generic Phytech install that will apply to anything that a 4-barrel carburetor will bolt on. We'll talk about that in detail, and then that's going to be the next episode after that, or maybe even before it. It's the gauges. Those are the gauges. These are autometer gauges. They actually say Ford on them, which is kind of cool, and they look like aviation gauges. So, which is cool. So, which fits the look of that truck. So that's pretty cool. The reason I did this is because I bought a post 93 or 92 ZF, so there's no transmission sender on them at all. They don't have a cable or electronic. They used ABS at that point for their speed. So I killed the only thing on this gauge that actually worked good was the speedometer, and I killed it by doing that. So that's okay. We're going to do these gauges. There's going to be a detailed video on installing these gauges, and then the first fire and test drive and stuff of the tow truck. So that'll be pretty cool. I'm pretty excited for that. We're going to fit all the gauges in the factory bezel. We're going to have to modify it, cut it a little bit, and then we're going to make our aluminum backer and drill it and get all the gauges in it and do some cool stuff with it. So that'll be coming up. So thanks for watching. Safari Wagon is not dead. It is still a live project, and I just need to get this done because we are moving shops and I want to get this thing broke in before we move. But as soon as I'm done with that, I'm going to be hot on this Safari Wagon, and we are going to get this thing driving hopefully before we move. My goal is to drive it to the new shop. And then I'm going to videotape us getting there instead of towing it on the tow truck. But you never know.